On this episode of Purposely Curious, I sit down with my friend Alicia Cardoso and we take a look into some aspects of the fashion world. She fills us in on why she was drawn to fashion and what she brings to the ever-evolving fashion world. Put on the cutest outfit you've got, and yes, that goes for the dudes too. So, let's get nice and cozy and join us as this episode starts now. Hello everyone, I hope everyone's doing well. Today I do not have my friend Leonie, but I do have my friend Alicia Cardoso. Hi Alicia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so she has invited me to her home and it's lovely. She has her Halloween decor up and it's like crazy. I mean, she's gifted. I was in awe when I walked in.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. I know. I laid it out just for you.
Oh, yes. Make me feel special. I love that. So, Alicia and I went to high school together. Our lockers were next to each other. We didn't necessarily hang out.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. But it's crazy because we change as we grow up. And we, you know, here we are, however many years, two decades later. No,
yeah. Wait,
no, wait, we're not that old. Right?
I'm like, wait, no. Our math is off, so you could tell.
Yes, but it's been more than 10 years. Yeah, going on 20 maybe.
Yes.
So
it almost is 2 decades.
Yes.
Oh my God, how creepy. We're
I have
old.
I have a lot of those moments. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's true. We weren't like, we talked off and on, but we were not in our own circle together.
No, we were in separate circles. Yeah. So it was nice. I've been following her on Instagram for like what seemed forever.
Yeah.
And then the podcast came up and then it was kind of like, I was like, okay, so I was trying to look for some inspiration. I was like, so what do you do? Then now here we are, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
So she is a very fashionable woman who always has her outfits like to the T.
I try.
Yeah. And it makes sense that you work in that industry.
Yes.
So could you tell everyone what it is that you do?
Yes. So I am an account executive for a global company and I technically work for a lot of the retail stores in Latin America, which includes also Mexico. And so I just make sure that all of the product hit the stores accordingly and making sure that all of the garments and styles and colors and fits and everything kind of match with each territory and demographics and just making sure that each store is profitable as much as they can. So it's just pretty much like a buyer and then just making sure that logistically everything just lands right and then we all just kind of rock and roll from there. You know, fashion is everything.
Yeah, totally. I listened to this podcast called Dressed where they talk about the history of fashion. Yeah. And I mean, they talk about stuff like, why did men in the 1700s wear heels? We see them with their white wigs and essentially they were like, the bigger the heel, the more wealthy you were. I had no fucking clue. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Those are the kind of things that you might even like that podcast.
I definitely have to hear it.
Yeah. Every episode, it's like a different theme or, you know, and they also do, interviews with fashion historians. They do interviews with designers. It just really varies on who they can get, but it's really well made. And so like, random note, like I didn't know the higher the heel the man wore in the 1700s meant the more wealthy they were, you know.
That's crazy.
So yeah, for sure. I've always been into fashion. When I graduated high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to be, essentially. I thought I wanted to work in film. I have a very creative mind, but I don't know what to do with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So then I went and worked at American Apparel because so that's the experience I have. I was 18 because my friend's cousin was going on maternity leave and they needed a receptionist temporarily. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Then they hired me as the marketing department assistant. So
nice.
I really, really liked it. I kind of got a feel for what you do to an extent. But I just realized it wasn't for me. They wanted me to stay and they were going to promote me again, but I just didn't feel like something wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
And then I ended up in nursing and that clicked. So, but I love the historical end of fashion and stuff. So
Yeah.
in that sense, my hat goes off to you because it's definitely a tough world from what I saw.
Yes.
And I think that was one of the things that kind of threw me off was like the cattiness of at least what I saw. And when I say cattiness, it's from both men and women. Like it's crazy what you see behind closed doors. Like
definitely.
Yeah. So that's kind of what turned me off to fashion.
I mean, it's like high school pretty much. And it's like, it's just, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything about it is bad. It's not. I mean, it does have its perks and there's amazing mentors and amazing group of people all the time, just like any other industry, you know, and it's just kind of like, you just have to find the right people who you click with, and then those people are going to take you as far as possible. I've learned both ways, and I know that sometimes, believe it or not, I think going to an all-girls school, and I think you can also say this too, going to an all-girls school kind of helped out with a lot of situations that happen in the industry, predominant when it's majority of women, but you kind of learn and you kind of just understand exactly like what you need to work around with. And then pretty much I'm a firm believer of work is work, you know, and then we'll play hard later. But it's just kind of like I come in, do my job. This is what I do. And then move out, you know, and then there's your work friends and then there's your friends and then just kind of keep those separate. And then half the time I know that when I describe my work friends, I just say, well, they're not technically my friends, but you know, it's just, they're just at work. So we hardly go out, but it's just kind of keeping it separately because you just never know, but not in a negative aspect. It's just kind of just saying it that way.
Yeah. And so I'm going to go back to what Alicia said about us going to private school, all girls school. Mm-hmm. And so if any of you guys are listening, don't have any experience with it, it's just basically cattiness left and right, you know, teenagers being girls. And so I also agree with what she said. I would weed out, I could tell fake right off the bat. Like going to all girls school, you can figure out who's fake right away. So my circle hasn't really changed. You know, I keep a certain amount of core friends, and just like what she said, but right off the bat, I'm going to cut you off. If you're like any kind of drama in here, I'm like, cut them off. Like, and same with work, you know? And I think for, at least for you and me, I also feel like it gave us kind of like a thick skin to, of course, things can happen in our careers where we feel like, what the fuck, what happened, you know, but it does give us a thicker skin to defend ourselves.
Exactly.
And so I know that's one of the things that I took from going to all girls school.
I think for sure, like you're 100% right. Even though it still took me time to get a thick skin, because I was still kind of the type of person that I was like, no, like, how can that happen? How could you do this? Or how can he do this? You know, and things like that. It was still kind of like a learning process, because you're not going to automatically get thick skin after only 4 years of high school, you know? So it takes like a long time to process and understand it. And then just exactly what you say, we have the fake people. And that's exactly what I know I have done. And honestly, I would have to say that because of the schools that we went to, and regardless if there was catty people or bullies or good people, you kind of learn. And I would just say, you know, thank you to all of them, that they helped me get to where I'm at. And because of the bullies and the catties and everything else, was just kind of like, wow, you know, I put myself in a position and where I know I can be better, you know, regardless of all these other people. Yeah.
And so now going back to your job. So that was my experience with fashion, was working with American Apparel. Now, guys, I was 18 years old. This was almost 20 years ago. This is before American Apparel blew up. They were in the process of blowing up.
I know.
Is your company similar to that? Or are you're a buyer, or do you make them like American Apparel did and then sold them wholesale?
No, we're not a wholesale company. Okay. We do work with wholesale, but we're not predominantly wholesale. Okay. But definitely, for sure, we are bigger than American Apparel. We do know, obviously, years from later, like they went on different directions, and it's something that I really don't know much about, but I know for sure.
I can fill you in after.
But it's like for sure the company I work for, like we don't predominantly do wholesale. It's basically retail, and it's been going on for years. And then I know it's something that the owners, upper management definitely inspired to be like the greatest of the great.
Yeah. So you guys produce the clothing?
We do. We have vendors outside of the country that produces the clothing. We have in-house designers, and they go ahead and they design everything. And every designer, just like any very high-end designers, get an inspiration from somewhere. So it can be a culture, it can be a color, it can be a drawing, and they can just develop a whole collection from there. So with that in mind, we have the in-house design team. They design the garment. We go ahead and we ship it out to letting the vendor know who can go ahead and produce the garment based on cost, based on also time frame, how quickly can it get it done. And then that way we can meet a certain deadline per season, because every single time there's kind of like a timeline on what everything needs to be done by season, because you don't want to have an outfit that was made and then come out 2 or 3 years later when it's already over. People are already done with that outfit.
So do you guys do fast fashion?
We definitely try to do fast fashion as much as we can, but at the same time, we don't want to lose that brand integrity. So we want to keep it where it's not too fast, but yet keep it well-rounded and where it's continuously a bestseller kind of all year round.
Now, for those people who don't know what fast fashion is, do you mind explaining that?
Sure. So fast fashion, it's kind of like where it's kind of like that word fad, it's kind of like when you take a specific style and then in 2 months is already out of style, and it's that's definitely what a fast fashion is. So they bring it in, they take it out as quickly as they can, and then they do the same thing all over again. Bring it in, take it out, bring it in, take it out.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps the cycle going as much as you can. I mean, it's a risky move as a company to do something like that, because you can sit on so much unsold inventory. But at the same time, sometimes it works, just depending on who your clients is and how cheap are you really selling the garment.
Yeah. So some stores who are considered fast fashion is like Forever 21.
Exactly.
Right. So they're just rolling them out quickly, quickly, and you'll never find the same stuff. I personally can go to the store and like they never have the same stuff there. So it's like something that, do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing for the fashion industry or the fashion world?
My point of view, I think, I'm like, that's kind of tough. You know what? Because I don't knock fast fashion. I can say I'm guilty of it as well. I can go ahead and just buy it because that one garment. Yeah.
I am too.
That one style, because it looks so great. But then I want to get that one style as well, that it's like a style I can leave in my closet forever, So I think it just all depends on where I'm going, what I'm doing with that outfit.
Yeah, I personally do both. I do good quality stuff, and then I do fast fashion. Yeah. What you will see me wear like on a regular day is my Target shirt, very comfortable. But, if I pre-COVID going to a party, a wedding, my outfits are like pricey. Like I feel like I have to invest in that. I invest in shoes. Fast fashion shoes I won't pay money for. That's just me. Yeah. That's something I have to spend money on.
Yeah, for sure.
But definitely I don't knock it. You need everyday clothes, and fast fashion fits that everyday clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I know it is controversial for some people.
Yes. I mean, because you think about sitting on inventory, and then it can be bad for the company. And then also the vendors, like where are the vendors making it, and how quickly are they sitting on liability fabric? And if they can't sell it, then it just goes to trash, and it just ruins the environment. And that's why I've heard a lot of companies going into this eco-friendly kind of style, where they sustainable fabrics and all that other good stuff, and where they're trying now to recycle a bunch of fabric, a bunch of clothes.
Was that H&M? Have I heard that before? I feel
think
like
a lot of company has been doing it.
I think I had heard that H&M, you could return certain clothes. They don't pay you for it, but I think they do something like that.
Yeah, like they'll give you a certain percentage, or they'll tell you like, oh, maybe they'll do kind of like an incentive card where they're like, get as many stamps or something like that. It's just every company's a bit different, but I know that's something that a lot of companies are striving for.
So for example, you guys get your clothing and distribute it to the vendor. If the vendor doesn't sell it, you don't get it back.
If the vendor, you mean the stores, or
yeah.
No, they have to sell it, or they just put it either in markdowns. So then eventually they'll just have to sell it. And then it does go out to outlet stores, because we do have outlet stores as well. So then it'll just sell off to the outlet stores, and then eventually just keep dropping this price down until they eventually sell it.
So how did you guys, what is it that you do for Latin America? So essentially we're talking about the local stores here, right? But how is it different working with vendors out there?
Well, I don't work specifically with the vendors. I specifically work with the operational teams in the retail stores at those countries. So what we do is, because in those specific countries, our brand is very exclusive to them. It's very high end. It wouldn't be as much here as it is in North America, but it is to them. And for them to see that brand, and they would just freak out, and they love it, and they will spend their money on it, even though they know that they do not have that disposable income. They will use it, and where they're like, but it's a brand that we know and we love and we really want to get it. And, and they're just like wanting to do it. So we want to make sure that we provide them with something that they can afford, something that they were really gonna like. And then we're trying to meet that global need, for everyone. So regardless of what store in Latin America it is, we just always want to make sure that we put that effort into having that brand be known, that we are pretty much the shit, then they love it. And then we want to have that compared to other stores.
So how do you get that message out with marketing now in the new social media era?
I mean, it's not my area of expertise. We do have one specific person who works with that, but just given the factor of the communication that I'm aware of, is just social media, online shopping that they do nowadays, especially now with COVID. It's been booming, like the online shopping.
Yeah.
And they even do local, kind of like Uber Eats. So if you buy something, the store will say, hey, we have this garment. How far do you live? They'll kind of track, like, how far is this store from your house? And then they will pick it up, kind of like an Uber, and they'll drop it off at your house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've seen that.
I haven't heard of that. Yeah.
It's
nice.
something in Latin America that they do. Yeah. That they literally, it's kind of like just Uber. You you pick up a garment from a store, they go and they drop it off in front of your house. No contact, no nothing. And then they just register and let the store know, the company know that it's been shipped, it's been dropped off, or something like that. And then for sure with the social media, like the TikToks and the Instagram and the Facebook, they try to make sure that they, one, stay true with the brand, and then two, just making sure that everyone's aware of upcoming events or changes or new garments, or having even the employees themselves in the store do something fun, and getting it out there, and just not having so much models or people that is not realistic. They're trying
everyday people.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's one thing that I've noticed as a consumer. And again, I make decent money to where, I can kind of pick and choose. But I've noticed as a consumer, lean towards companies that have people that look like me.
Yeah.
And so, that I think is kind of, and I could be totally wrong, is that I feel like the higher end, the models of they do have an impact still, but it's almost like a lot of everyday people are buying clothes from, celebrities or artists who influencers who are essentially just like us.
Exactly.
And so that to me is like I love your outfit.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You're marketing yourself or your outfit. So it's one of those things that I feel like things are changing, and I see that. And again, guys, I worked in the industry like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And I was promoted to marketing assistant, and just to see how they marketed then, obviously we know what happened to the company. It definitely has changed.
Right.
And so to me, I think I'm amazed by the fashion world. Like, I don't think I could ever work in it, but I definitely, I was thinking of ideas of what to interview you for. I was like, hey, tell me more about what you do. 'Cause it's definitely, we all get dressed. We all need clothes.
Exactly. I mean, it's exactly from, if I were to say the fashion industry would be a book, will be like a page out of Devil Wears Prada. I'm sure everyone's seen that movie.
Yes.
So it's definitely like that. You have your bosses or your leaders that are very Miranda, or you have others that are very Emily, or you have others that are going to be great people that are going to guide you all the way, and for sure, it's kind of interesting. When I remember seeing that movie, I was like, oh my God, this is so true. Like, a lot of things are so true, but yet a lot of people don't see that there is good parts, in the industry, and it's just like, that could just be something fun that they're doing. But, it's kind of like, at the same time, there are a lot of great people and there are a lot of great mentors. And the good thing about it too is some companies, they throw you kind of like, a piece of meat to the pack of wolves. But it's like, I had one boss tell me, you either sink or swim. So you either got to do it or you don't. And I think that was the biggest thing that I've learned a lot too, was either have thick skin, sink or swim, You decide that on your own and just keep going, and then make it happen, like, I know, going back to what you said, like, kind of growing up when we were in high school, that I've always liked fashion. Maybe back then, I'm sometimes like, why would I wear that? Or why did I do that? But that was early 2000 fashion, late 90s fashion.
That was a hot mess of an era.
So it was kind of like something like that, and where I'm just kind of like, but I remember, I always love it. I would sit in chemistry class and draw so many dresses and so many outfits. And the funny part is that it took me a while to know that I wanted to be in the fashion industry, and not because of the people or the industry itself, but it's just me as a person, because, I thought to myself, who am I? What am I going to do? You know what I mean? I hear so many things about, like, it's only a specific group of people that get to be in high fashion, or a specific, culture that gets to be in the fashion industry. And I was just like, who am I? I remember when we were graduating, I applied to go to FITM, which is a really big fashion school in LA.
If you guys watch The Hills.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know I did. It's expensive. And here in Los Angeles, they might have more campuses now, because that was also like 20 years ago.
I think they kind of have little sections everywhere.
Yeah.
So for sure. And then I remember signing up, and back then, and I remember, I don't know if they still do this now, they asked me to submit a portfolio, just kind of like get an idea of who I am as a person, what I want to do. And I think at that time I was like, oh my God, I want to be a designer. I want to design all these cool clothes, And then when I got there, I honestly, everything was great. I passed the interview. I did everything. When they asked me for the final portfolio that day, I told my mom I didn't want to go. I don't want to do it anymore. She's like, why? I go, I don't know. I feel like I changed my mind. And she was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I fit in. I don't think I'm right. Yeah. And then that's why I didn't go right away to like fashion school or did anything right away. I remember after that, I moved into marine biology, completely different, area. And then I went back to retail store, and I was like, I do like fashion. Why didn't I do it? But I guess I didn't have either mentor or someone to tell me or push me, do it. And
did you go back to FITM?
I did not. Okay. I ended up going to the Art Institute, and but that happened years later. Yeah. So I just stayed in retail. I started as a sales associate, moved all the way up, from a key holder to an assistant manager to a co-manager to a store manager, eventually became a visual region manager in different fast fashion stores, all across, different everywhere. And then this is when I knew this is what I want to do, and it doesn't matter what background I came from, what I was doing, this is what I want to do. And for sure, progress it and push. And I'm like, now it's time to hit the corporate world. Now it's time to be the Andy, from the Devil Wears Prada. So it's like, here I am being the Andy, going into the corporate world. And then once again, I started late. I went back to school and got my degree and everything. And that's what I really push people to do, especially my stepdaughter, is that school is everything. And it does help you a lot and to get your foot into the door for sure. But I know with nowadays, with like social media and everything, it's kind of different.
Now, for you guys who have not watched the movie Devil Wears Prada, please watch it just so you can kind of get some references. But going back to what you were saying, I myself didn't go to college right off the bat. I was going to community city college, but I've always been very confident and trying to figure myself out. I can speak for myself, and I'm assuming not a lot of people know what they want to be when they're 18. So I enrolled myself into college nursing after I did 2 years in fashion at American Apparel. So again, that's why I don't pressure people if they don't know. Like, do not get school loans if you don't know that's what you want to do. That's literally later. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with waiting, guys. There really is nothing wrong with waiting. You do not want to be stuck in a career with loans for something that you hate. So again, we're kind of an example with me and Alicia that we're okay. We're doing well in our 30s, but we waited a little longer until we sorted ourselves out. So if you are out there and you're 18 and you don't know,
it's okay.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. People on average change careers, they say 3 times
exactly
in their lifetime. So if you're not sure, don't fall into the pressures, because in the end those loans are yours and you're going to have to pay them. Or do your homework, right?
Yes.
My cousin wanted to be a social worker. And I told her, well, look at the medium salary, what they want, so that you have expectations. She was like, well, it's not about the money for me. I said, okay.
Yeah.
I totally get it, right? You want to make a difference. And there's nothing wrong with that. I said, but just that was what I wish I had learned. And what I wish from listening to certain friends felt like, oh, I hate my job and, I have all these loans. So she then decided she didn't want to do it. And she was like, yeah, I always remember your advice, and I was like, yes, always check the salary you're going to start with. Because all of us are like, we're going to make this much money. But no, you're starting at the bottom.
Exactly.
So if you if you can't handle the bottom, then you need to look at another degree. You know what I mean? So yes, that's the advice Alicia and I are giving you guys. It's okay to take the time that you need.
And for sure, it's going to be a calling for you. I really think so. Because even though I felt like I wanted to be a specific thing in the fashion industry, I'm not that designer that I wanted to be in high school. So now I learned that I'm great in customer service. I'm great in selling. I'm great in the other side of the industry. So not even has to be fashion. It can be other things, product, and that's what's great about my area, is that I don't have to stick to one specific industry. I can move on to something else, cosmetics, stuff like that. So it's really great to see that.
So you said you have a stepdaughter.
Yes.
So would you, if she told you she wanted to be a part of the industry, would you be okay with it?
She wanted to be part of the industry. I would definitely encourage it. I would say for sure do it. And also lead by example a lot, because there's a lot of people that watch you, and especially going back to the cattiness. Yes. There's a lot of people that watch you, and just to see, they unfortunately, us as women, like to see each other fall 10 times harder, and it kind of sucks. There's not a lot of support system, but I would definitely say that find that one person you click with, be awesome coworkers, and you both will succeed. And then also lead by example. So if you have other people under you, even if it's the janitor that's cleaning your office or the guy that comes in and fixes the printer, be polite. It does not hurt to say hello, or it does not hurt to say, oh, do you want some water or something like that? Because you see that they were really thirsty, or they've been there for such a long time, or something like that. I know day in and day out, it doesn't matter who it is. I walk around with a smile on my face and greet everyone, because I'm thinking to myself, this is the way I would like to be treated. I don't want anyone else to be treated. So if she was to go into the fashion industry, for sure, just lead by example and be the best that you can, and don't take anything personal, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's huge for a lot of people, is taking things personal or not.
Yeah.
Let's say she said she wanted to start her own line. What would you tell her as far as, you know, obviously using social media, but would you tell her to be patient, that it's not overnight, or, you know, what advice would you give her?
For sure. I mean, like, I think every patience is a virtue, for sure. And I think it's like, she would just have to market herself a lot, you know, just nowadays how it is. I mean, it's easy to go ahead and post it on Instagram and just say like, oh, I'm starting this new fashion line or something like that. And then if she definitely wants help, I will definitely encourage her, but she will have to do it on her own. I'm not going to have the door open for her and tell her like, this is a designer, you can work with her. But it's like, start from the bottom as much as you can, and then market yourself out there. Tell everyone what you want to do and how you want to do it, just like anyone else in the industry. I'm sure there's a lot of designers that started off at either Otis College, FITM, or like Fit, you know, and where they just started from the bottom and they just worked their way up to be the very high-end designers, you know.
Yeah. And don't do it for the people you know. Do it for yourself. Because, you know, there's always going to be people, even within your own family and circle, who are going to be skeptical, right? Don't do it for them. You worry about you, right? Mm-hmm. The right people are going to like your style. Someone out there likes your style. And so that's where the patience is. And it's kind of the whole thick skin. Yes. Weed out the negative people. Mm-hmm. Just don't listen to them. Just go for it. Don't look back, you know, and yeah, I think that would be great advice. Yeah. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, for sure. It's also like going back to where I was saying, is like, don't get it all wrong. I'm not saying anything like the majority is negative. No, not at all. But it's just like any other company. It's a 50-50, you know, and also depends on who you meet. There's awesome people out there. So, and then they definitely will be there to make you hustle and do the best that you can and be who you are to this day. And there's a lot of people who I can personally say that thank you very much, either to the good or to the bad, to put me in this position where I am now. And I love it. Like, I love what I do. It's hard work, you know, for sure. And it requires, I mean, Latin America, I mean, there's all sorts of different time zones and everything. So it requires a lot of attention. And it also requires that to force me to learn how to speak Spanish more.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were losing it, or?
Honestly, I just felt like it wasn't like such a priority for me, because even though my parents are first immigrants, so I'm like a first American generation here, I was kind of like, you guys learn how to speak English, and then afterwards, for me, Spanish is all right. You know? And they're like, no. So I know that I did not learn Spanish until I was 10, 11. I think my Spanish sucks throughout high school as well. And even though I knew I should have took Spanish class, but I took French class. I don't know why. And then, but then now with this, I feel like my Spanish has gotten better, so much more. And then hopefully now I can master Portuguese too. And then, with the Brazilians, and that'll be awesome. You know?
Yeah. Well-rounded women, guys. Well-rounded women.
I try.
Well, thank you so much for being on this episode.
Of course.
If you guys want to reach Alicia, is there anywhere you feel like they can check you out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram, so it'll be Alicia C. Cardoso. And yeah, I mean, you can definitely see all my outfits. All my fun little activities. I mean, families first, you know, then is career. And I'm very big about that. And I know I'm learning every single day about family and career. So it's an ongoing experience.
Constantly evolving and growing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because if we stay stuck, then it becomes boring, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and telling us a little bit about your world and having some conversations on fashion. And thank you for you guys for listening. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. That was episode 32 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most podcast platforms. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.